Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to the one I dropped earlier today entitled, Oshay Duke Jackson blames Africa's problems on Pan-Africanism. And in that video, Oshay Duke Jackson was going on a rant. Go watch that video if you haven't. But in this video, because Oshay, he prides himself. He always says, listen, I'm never scared to call anybody out. I'll call anybody out. I don't even care if it's President Ibrahim Traore. I'm going to call him out. We calling out the scammers. We calling everybody out, right? And I respect it. So this is my challenge to Oshay Duke Jackson, because there is somebody who I believe deserves to be called out. It's been a long time coming. He deserves to be called out, put on the Summer Jam screen, for everybody to see this one individual. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the leader of Uganda, right? The king of Uganda, President Museveni. And I believe Uganda is currently where Oshay Duke Jackson is located. That's his main center of operations, right? Uganda. Now, if you watch my last video, I told Oshay that you cannot blame Pan-Africanism for any problems that you encounter on the continent, right? Because he was complaining about the price of a visa or the price of a plane ticket to go from one country to the other country or things like that, or the ease of doing business. I said, you can't blame Pan-Africanism because of that, because the Pan-Africanist heads of state are not in power, right? Currently right now, especially where he's located, that area of, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, that whole area. Currently over there, the Pan-Africanists are not in power. It's the ethno-nationalist delineators that's in power, right? Guys like William Ruto from Kenya, Kagame from Rwanda, Museveni from Uganda. These men are not Pan-Africanists. They're ethno-nationalist, tribalist delineators, right? Like yourself. So how come we've never seen you call out President Museveni of Uganda? I believe that Museveni is actually one of the main problems on the continent that is actually an obstacle for the progression of Pan-Africanism, right? Continent-wide cooperation, integration. I think Museveni is one of those ancient roadblocks that, unfortunately got to be moved out the way for new, fresh leadership with the vision for the future, right? So that way you don't got to be sitting up on YouTube complaining about how things are going over there, right? How come you never called out Museveni? Where is the video of Oshay Duke Jackson calling out Museveni, giving Museveni a piece of his mind, right? Last week, you had no problem talking about Captain Ibrahim Traore, right? You said, listen, he's in on the scam. He's scamming the people. So how come you don't want to talk about President Museveni right in your backyard, the king of Uganda, been sitting on the throne for damn near 30 years? You never called out Museveni. Museveni is definitely one of those problems on the continent that is slowing the progression of Pan-Africanism. How come you never want to call out Museveni, right? You want to call out Pan-Africanism. You want to call out Captain Ibrahim Traore. You want to call out this person and that person. But how come the king of Uganda sitting comfortable, you never called him out? It's a long list of things that you can call out Museveni for. Like I said, Museveni is not a Pan-Africanist. He's an ethno-nationalist, tribalist delineator like yourself, like Tariq, like many other people, right? So you guys have a lot in common. So how come you never called out President Museveni? Oh, that's probably why you never called out President Museveni, because you have a lot in common. Both of you are tribalist delineators, and up until recently, you only became a Pan-Africanist the other day. Remember, Oshay, you just became a Pan-Africanist like 2 weeks ago, but before that, when you first came on YouTube and it was Manosphere, you were an anti-African hate monger. You were the ultimate ethno-nationalist, tribalist bonehead when you first came on YouTube way back in the day, right? It was only after you traveled the world, you seen some things, then you became to embrace the Pan-Africanist ideology. But of course, you still have your old, leanings from back in the day, and sometimes it pops out because that's who you really are, right? That's who you truly are at your core, your foundation, right? An anti-African, ethno-nationalist, tribalist. That's who you were when you first came on the scene. That's who you were when you first came on YouTube. But like I said, there's an innumerable amount of things you can call out Museveni for. I mean, the most obvious is obviously his military intervention in the DRC, right? Constantly destabilizing his neighbors for his own personal gain, because that's the mindset of the ethno-nationalist tribalist delineator. He only cares about him and his own people. And when I say his own people, I'm only talking about his own little clique, his own little group. That's it. Not his own race, his own little small little tribe. That's it. That's all he care about for real. In fact, Museveni is such an ethno-nationalist tribalist delineator that he was forced to pay reparations to the Congo for crimes against humanity, right? Take a look up on the screen. In 2022, the International Court of Justice ordered Uganda to pay the Congo $325 million in reparations for crimes committed during the 1998 to 2003 conflict. The compensation is for various damages, including $225 million for loss of life, sexual violence, child soldiers, displacement, $40 million for property damage, and $60 million for damage to natural resources. Uganda made its first installment of payment back in September 2022, right? So Museveni is such an ethno-nationalist, tribalist, ethnic supremacist that he had to pay reparations to his neighbors for crimes against humanity, right? Because he committed war crimes. He committed crimes against humanity for the enrichment of his own group. So as you sit up in Uganda under the rulership of Museveni and you complain about Pan-Africanism, how can you complain about Pan-Africanism when you're living under the government of an ethno-nationalist, tribalist delineator who committed crimes against humanity for personal enrichment? So if you ask me, President Museveni is a prime candidate to be called out, right? And don't give me that bullshit, oh, I don't want to call him out because I'm living in Uganda, I'm scared. Listen, I've called out Trump. I did a video on Trump's former spiritual advisor getting 6 months for crimes against minors. I've called out General Michael Langley, 4-star general of the U.S. Marines. I've called out the DGSE, the French Secret Service. I've called out Emmanuel Macron. I've called out multiple leaders on the continent. I've called out Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken when they were in power. I've called out a bunch of people, domestically and internationally, right? So you can do the same, right? Don't give me that bullshit. Oh, well, I'm scared. I live in Uganda. I don't want to cause no trouble. Listen, when it came to President Captain Ibrahim Traore, you said, listen, I'm not scared of nothing. I'm not scared of nobody. I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call it out, right? Oh, yeah, I'm about calling it out directly, the confrontation directly. So listen, call out Museveni, call out the king of Uganda, right? Call out the monarch of Uganda, right? The royal family of Uganda, call them out. Listen, you guys have no problem putting false allegations on the back of Pan-Africanism. You have no fear, right? So listen, call out the leader of Uganda, right? Because you say you're complaining about his policies, right? Because that's what you are really complaining about. When you went on that rant about Pan-Africanism and the policies of the regional governments, you were complaining about guys like Museveni, but you didn't want to call out Museveni directly. So instead you wanted to call out Pan-Africanism because Pan-Africanism is the easy scapegoat, right? Because then you don't have to call anybody out directly. I can just blame it on Pan-Africanism, when in reality, the reason why things are the way they are is because of ethno-nationalist, tribalist delineators like yourself, right? But you don't want to admit that, so you want to blame it on it's Pan-Africanism's fault. Pan-Africanism is the reason why this is happening. Pan-Africanism is the reason why I can't do this. Pan-Africanism is the reason why the plane tickets cost this much. It's because of Pan-Africanism, right? No, it's because of Museveni. It's because of the king of Uganda where you live. So call him out. Call out Museveni. Call him out. Get on the internet. Call out Museveni, right? Like I said, you could call him out for crimes against humanity. You could call him out for corruption. You could call him out for the fact that he's in bed with the Israelis and the Arabs from the Middle East. You could call him out for a whole bunch of things. It's a whole bunch of reasons why you could call out Museveni, right? If you're a man of integrity, right? Your integrity should not stop because, oh, I'm living on his territory, so I don't want to disrespect the king of Uganda. No, you a man of integrity. Listen, say what you gotta say. Say what you gotta say, bro. The fact of the matter is you and Museveni have a lot in common, right? You and Museveni have a lot in common. So I understand why you never want to call him out. But like I said, if you don't want to call out Museveni for crimes against humanity, right, you could also call him out for the fact that he elevates his own ethnic group and his own family in positions of power, right? His son is like some schizophrenic drunk, but somehow he's like a powerful figure in the country. How come you never call out Museveni for that type of, nepotism that holds the country back, that holds development back, right? Your son is obviously incompetent. He obviously has problems with substance abuse. He probably has mental illness. He's always on the internet ranting about nonsense. How come you never call out Museveni or Museveni's son, right? How come you never call out Museveni for the fact that he's always shutting down the opposition? Anytime there's some young, fresh blood that wants to come in and compete, he shuts them down, right? How come you never call out Museveni for the violence that he commits against his political opponents and rival ethnic groups? How come you never call out Museveni for all the crimes that he commits in the region? And how come you never call out Museveni for being one of the biggest roadblocks to Pan-Africanism on the continent? The man has been sitting in power for 30 years. The man can barely walk down the street. The man can barely get up and move around. He's probably got all type of illnesses and ailments that he doesn't talk about, but he still wants to remain in power forever. How come you never want to call out Museveni, right? How come you never want to call for a young Pan-Africanist leader to take the reins of power and implement those policies you've been waiting for, right? How come? Why is that? Why is that? Oh no, I'm gonna call out Pan-Africanism. It's Pan-Africanism fault. It's not Museveni fault. It's Pan-Africanism fault. No, brother, call out Museveni. Call out Museveni like a man, right? And then I'll truly respect it. Then I can say, you know what, Oshay, listen, he don't hold no punches. He gonna call everybody out, right? Even Museveni, right? He gonna call everybody out. But until you call out Museveni, I'm not buying it. you know, complaining about, oh, it's Pan-Africanism did this, Pan-Africanism, Pan-African. Are you living under the rulership of a Pan-Africanist? No, you're living under the rulership of Museveni, right? And Museveni, last time I checked, is not a Pan-Africanist. He is a full-blown ethno-nationalist, tribalist, supremacist delineator, right? So call him out. Call him out. If you really believe in that bullshit you were talking about, oh, Pan-Africanism, this and that, listen, call him out. Call him out, because Museveni represents everything you were complaining about. Everything you were complaining about, Museveni represents it, and he is not a Pan-Africanist. So call Museveni out. This is my open challenge to Oshay Duke Jackson. Call him out. Tell Oshay it's time to call out Museveni if he really believes in that bullshit that he be talking about on the internet. Call out President Museveni, the king of Uganda, the monarch of Uganda, right? The supreme leader of Uganda. Call him out. Call him out. I'll be waiting. I give Oshay Duke Jackson 30 days to make a hit piece on President Museveni of Uganda, right? And I'll react to it. Anyway, it's your boy Neferkari. That's the lead back at the Billy S.D. Second single off the next project, The Spy in Bamako. Pin comment at the top, link in the description. Support the Patreon, NCD 1814, and I'm gone. Peace. Feel like you see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yana in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming they innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit them with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the fall and intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in the savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater.